You ever get a phone call that feels like a punch in the gut and a slap in the face at the same time? That's exactly what happened to me the day I picked up and heard that voice, sweet as southern tea, but with enough venom to kill a horse. Your shed is an unauthorized structure, she said, and since you've repeatedly refused to comply with community standards, the association has exercised its right to remedy the violation at your expense. You'll receive the bill for the demolition plus a significant fine for non-compliance. Have a blessed day, Mr. Garrison. A blessed day. Can you believe that? I just stood there barefoot in my own backyard, phone pressed so tight to my ear it hurt, staring at what was left of my workshop. It looked like a tornado had passed through, except the only storm here was named Karen Bishop, our HOA president with her iron will and her helmet hair. The smell of cut pine and old sawdust still hung in the air, but now it was mixed with that nasty tang of destruction. 30 years' worth of tools collected piece by piece, ruined or buried in the rubble. And sitting right in the middle of it all, what was left of the rocking horse I was carving for my granddaughter Sarah's design. God rest her soul before cancer took her. Now it was just splinters and a broken dream. They didn't just tear down a building, they bulldozed part of my soul. This is the kind of nightmare you hear about on the news, something you joke about at barbecues, but you never think it'll happen to you until it does. If you've ever had to deal with an HOA run by someone who thinks they're king or, let's be honest, queen of the world, you know exactly where this is going. Stick around. I promise you'll want to hear how this ends. And hey, drop your own HOA horror stories in the comments, will you? I'm collecting them for a bonfire. See, there's one thing about pushing a man who's got nothing left to lose. You just handed him a mission. From that moment, I had a new purpose. Make sure Karen Bishop never forgot my name. I was going to use her beloved rules, the same ones she used like a weapon, and turn them right back on her. This wasn't a war I started, but I sure as hell was going to finish it. 30 years in the Army Corps of Engineers taught me a thing or two about patience and how to win battles, especially the ones where you're outnumbered. She thought she'd demolished a shed. I was about to dismantle her empire. Thing is, this all started out real simple. 5 years back, I bought this land, a good 5 acres of rolling hills just outside city limits. It wasn't some cookie-cutter subdivision. No, this was the place Sarah and I dreamed of building on plans sketched out on napkins in diners over 30 years. We closed on it right before I retired. For 2 years it was heaven. I built the house with my own hands and a few old Army buddies. Then I built the workshop 20 by 30 feet tucked under the oak trees at the far end of the property line. It was my safe haven. I kept my tools there, my blueprints, and that last little thread connecting me to Sarah after she was gone. The neighbors barely saw them. It was perfect, nobody telling me what color to paint the front door, no one nagging about the lawn. But freedom's a funny thing. You think you have it, and then one day you wake up and it's gone. The city crept closer. Some bigwig developer bought the land around me, turned it into Willow Creek Estates, picture beige houses, copy-paste lawns, the whole Stepford routine. I didn't care much. Then came Karen. Moved in 2 doors down and decided the place needed order, her kind of order. She was the type of woman who'd complain about the thread count on hotel sheets. Pastel tracksuits, big hair, big attitude. In 6 months flat, she'd whipped up enough support to form an HOA. Not that I joined my deed was done years before any of this. I explained polite as could be when she showed up at my door with a clipboard and that frozen smile. Mr. Garrison, the HOA is for everyone's good to protect property values. I just smiled. Ma'am, I built this house on a good foundation. I don't need a committee to tell me when to cut my grass. The smile tightened. That was the moment I became enemy number 1. Next thing I know, there's a violation notice in my mailbox, unapproved landscaping on account of the wildflowers Sarah loved by the tree line. I tossed it. But this was just her opening shot. For years, it became a siege, paperwork, fines, threats. She couldn't force me into her little fiefdom, so she decided to make me so miserable I'd cave or sell. But I didn't. The workshop, my sanctuary, became the battleground. It stood just inside my property line, visible from her back porch, a big old thumb in the eye of her beige kingdom. The first real attack was a letter certified thick with legalese. Suddenly there was a brand new bylaw. All sheds needed her committee's approval, and they had to match the main house color, roofing, everything. My workshop stained a rich cedar stood out, and that in Karen's world was unforgivable. The letter gave me 30 days to apply for approval with a non-refundable $500 fee plus a plan to repaint and re-roof the whole thing. and a warning $100 daily fines if I didn't comply. Now, I'd been nothing but patient up to that point, but this was pure power tripping. My shed had been there before the HOA, before Karen, before any of it. Her retroactive rules were more than unfair. They were illegal. So I didn't storm over there or start shouting. I gathered every document, my deed permits, everything. Then I called Marcus Thorne, an old Army buddy and one hell of a property lawyer. Guy's got a real hatred for bullies. I explained the situation. He just laughed. "This is classic overreach, Colonel. She's about to drive right off a cliff." We sent a formal response, certified mail. My property's not subject to the HOA. The shed's grandfathered, and any further action would be met with legal consequences. Karen signed for it. Her response: silence. But the fines started rolling in one after another. Trash can visible too long. Fine. Vegetable garden fine. American flag improperly illuminated even though I had a solar light right above it. It was death by 1,000 cuts. I documented every single piece of it. Didn't pay a cent. Didn't acknowledge her authority. Marcus said it best: don't engage, just document. Some neighbors looked at me like I was the villain. Others, you could tell, were scared to speak up. Then came the big red final notice taped to my workshop door. The shed would be removed in 72 hours, all cost to me. This was it, the line crossed. I called Marcus. He said, "Colonel, this is what we needed. She's moving from harassment to felony destruction and trespass. Here's what you do. Install cameras, record everything. Don't confront her, and hard as it is, let it happen. Let it happen. Let my wife's tools, my memories, my project for my granddaughter be destroyed." I wanted to scream. But he was right. If I stepped in, it'd be a messy, he said, she said. But with video, it'd be undeniable. So I bought the best cameras I could find. Documented every inch of that workshop. Took Sarah's garden tools inside. Snapped photos of everything, including the half-finished rocking horse. I even whispered, "Sorry, Sarah," before I closed the door one last time. The very next day, I had a VA appointment 2 hours away. Karen must have known, she always did. The perfect opportunity. I watched the feed from the hospital waiting room. 10:17 a.m., motion detected. Old flatbed truck, Rise Demo and hauling painted on the side. Karen pulls up behind it, clipboard in hand, dressed head to toe in screaming pink. She struts out like Napoleon at Waterloo, points at my shed. 2 guys with sledgehammers get to work. First blow landed on the door I built myself. Then came the chainsaw, cutting through the walls, years of my life, torn down in minutes. Karen, arms crossed, smug little smile on her face, taking photos like a trophy hunter. The worst moment, watching them drag out that rocking horse, my granddaughter's rocking horse. One of the guys swung a sledgehammer, split it right down the back. I felt that hit in my own chest. I wanted to be there to stop them, to make them see what they were destroying. But I held on to Marcus's words. Let it happen. I saved the video to 3 different clouds. I sat there in that sterile VIA waiting room, heart hollowed out, and watched as my sanctuary was wiped from the earth. When I got home, all that was left was bare dirt tire tracks and a few splinters. I picked up a piece of cherry wood, part of the horse, and swore to myself I'd see this through. I called the sheriff's department. Young deputy, tired eyes, started to brush me off. "Sir, sounds like a civil matter with your HOA. That's when I showed him the video. His jaw just about hit the floor. "This is felony destruction of property and criminal trespass," he said. Took my statement, took the video, and said a detective would be in touch. Next, call Marcus. Sent him the file, the report number. He was ice cold. "We've got her, Colonel. Dead to rights." We sued Karen, the HOA, the board, and Rise Demo. For damages, for emotional distress, for everything. But Marcus went bigger. We sued to dissolve the HOA itself, to free the whole neighborhood from her rule. And here's the twist, the part no one saw coming. I started knocking on doors looking for others Karen had wronged. Turns out it wasn't just me. There was Mrs. Gable, 80-something widow, fined thousands over her late husband's garden gnomes. The Millers' young couple with kids faced a lien on their house because of a basketball hoop. Stories poured out, banners, paint colors, barking dogs. Karen had made life hell for anybody who wouldn't bow to her. But now these people had something they'd never had before, proof and an ally. Frank, a Marine vet, became my right hand. Together we held a neighborhood meeting. Over 50 people crammed into a library room. I played the video of my shed's destruction. Some gasped, some cried, all were angry. We had what we needed. Marcus filed the class action 60 pages long. We asked not just for damages, but for the HOA to be dissolved, every fine reversed, every lien wiped away. News got out thanks to Frank's friend, a local reporter named Sarah Jenkins, who loved stories about underdogs fighting the system. The segment hit the 6 o'clock news footage of the demolition interviews with neighbors. Karen became infamous. She tried to do an on-camera interview to set the record straight and ended up a viral meme for all the wrong reasons. The insurance company folded. At mediation, they tried to lowball us 20 grand to make it all go away. Marcus just played the video, on loop. By the third time, their lawyer looked ready to cry. We got everything we wanted. 200 grand to me, legal fees covered, all fines and liens wiped out. Karen and her board resigned, barred from ever serving again. Best part. They paid to rebuild my shed exactly as it was on their dime, with a builder of my choice. Karen put her house up for sale within a week, couldn't stand the shame. I saw her once in the grocery store. She ran out like she'd seen a ghost. But here's the part that stuck with me. The lesson I never expected to learn. People talk about community, but you don't really know what it means until you're under siege. Karen tried to tear us apart with fear and fines, but she ended up bringing us together. She demolished a shed, but she built a neighborhood. The day my new workshop was finished with better walls, a metal roof, everything just right, I stood inside, breathing in the scent of fresh wood and paint. On my workbench, a new block of cherry wood waiting to be carved for my granddaughter. On the windowsill, a little ceramic gnome from Mrs. Gable grinning out at the world. That night, the whole neighborhood threw a party right outside my house. Kids ran wild, folks laughed for the first time in years, and I felt finally at home. We'd won more than money or a lawsuit. We'd taken back our lives. So here's my question for you. Where do we draw the line? When does enforcing the rules become tyranny? Did Karen deserve what she got, or did we go too far? Let me know down in the comments. Share your own stories of fighting for what's right or hell. Just let me know you're out there listening. Because in the end, justice isn't something you wait for. Sometimes you've got to build it yourself.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.